Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today, we're going to have a little sports talk, and I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to touch on this Monica McNutt conversation about Caitlin Clark. And the sisters just continue to look bad when it comes to Caitlin Clark. They just can't come out and give the girl her flowers. She has an it factor. The it factor, it's hard to say it doesn't have anything to do with race, but that's certainly not the number one factor, right? I mean, we all see color, but when I say that, I mean that we all see color because we're not blind. If you can see, you see color, but that doesn't shape your character. It depends on when you see somebody who doesn't look like you. What do you judge them by? If you judge them by just their color, then you have a problem. And I think there's too many people judge Caitlyn because of her skin color. Man, the girl has been great on and off the court, period. It's just no other conversation about that. And she's lifted the whole league just by herself. Now, that doesn't say that there's not other players that are worth anything. Of course there are, but none of them moved the needle the way she did. So I got Jason Whitlock going to say something about what Monica McNutt said. And I think you guys should listen to this because there's a couple of things that Monica said that doesn't make any sense if you have any historical account of the WNBA. So I don't agree with Jason Whitlock on everything, but I think on this one, I think he hit some things that we should talk about. All right, so I'm going to just start that up. Bear with me. Where's he at?
A large number of the black players and former black players have decided, hey, we're going to hate on Caitlin Clark and we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark constantly to elevate ourselves, but also trigger her fans so that they'll keep coming to games and rooting for her, and it's going to elevate the entire league. I'm honestly starting to think there's a strategy to this madness. There's a method to this madness. Here's Monica McNutt, ESPN broadcaster, covers the WNBA. Not a bad broadcaster, but she just can't help herself.
Before he goes any further, I don't agree with his theory, by the way. I think his theory takes a level of coordination that I don't think these ladies have. I just think they just look like they're in agreement with each other because they all hate on Caitlin Clark. But it's not coordinated in the fashion that he said, because that wouldn't work by just trying to hate Caitlin. So that's going to get people to come out to see your games. That's not a plan, and that's not a strategy. They're just operating on low vibration. That's simply what it is. And you're willing to see the league burn as opposed to supporting somebody in the league that can make them all a lot of money. And it's really stupid, but it's not so far-fetched if you know how the modern black woman thinks. Not all, but enough to make a difference. A lot of them that make a difference do a lot of dumb shit. This is just as simple as that. So if they don't like it, it's too bad, but it's too many receipts to say otherwise.
When given a chance to talk about Caitlin Clark, they're always going to racialize it and try to demonize Caitlin Clark's fan base. Let's play the clip.
Make it long-term commercially viable.
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her, little girls with their parents, and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games, but I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say. She is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say.
Okay, so let's just stop. I let it go a little longer than I needed to. Well, she said that it's because she energized little white girls from wherever, right? First of all, Caitlin Clark is not the first white woman who played in the WNBA. There's a slew of white female Hall of Famers who came through the WNBA and they never moved the needle. So just being white had nothing to do with it from the standpoint of what you're talking about. You know, it really doesn't. I mean, she has some it factor that's so intangible, you can't really just read it, right? That's one of those kind of things. So to I don't want to say belittle, to minimize her impact because of the color of her skin is so blatantly unfair. Because what about Sue Bird? What about Tarazi? What about all of the women who've come through the WNBA that have been white? You know, they didn't energize the little girls. Matter of fact, kids don't give a shit about race like that. If they ever do, if you ever see a little kid who says something about race, that's because her parents or his parents told them to. Little kids don't walk around talking about black and white. They just want to have fun. So just this whole analysis is just bullshit. You know what I'm saying, Monica? So I'm not going to go any further with this one. I'm going to just end it here because I want to get to Klay Thompson's father, Michael Thompson. I keep forgetting he was an all-star in that himself. And, you know, he has something to say about the women in the WNBA. And I think this is pretty good because he came up with an acronym, and I think his acronym is pretty accurate. So we're going to stop this right here, and I'm going to switch to his. It's part of an article, and I'm going to put it up. All right. I'm going to put it up here. All right. NBA champion calls out Caitlin Clark, WNBA, peer jealousy with a Jeep acronym. Okay. So I like this acronym. So his acronym, I'm going to let him say it, but it really kind of fits, you know, because jealousy is really at the heart. Envy and jealousy is really at the heart of all of this shit that's going on. So let me get down to his it's a little short post. You guys can use the title and you can find this if you want to look at it yourselves. So let me just go ahead and see if I can get this one. Let's get it going.
Well, they don't like Caitlin Clark. You know, Caitlin Clark, I've been noticing, I've been following her career since she was a sophomore at Iowa, and I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. She played the game like Steph Curry. We had never seen a woman play like that before. And I knew once she got further along in her career in college, I used to tell all my colleagues who are not into women's basketball, I say, hey, man, you got to check out this girl at Iowa, man. She shoots from the logo. She shoots from almost half court. She's different. And I was trying to emphasize her for about a year. Then he finally caught on. And men who travel with us in our traveling party who are basically anti-women's basketball, just didn't care for it, didn't want to talk about it, had no interest in it at all. All of a sudden, they started watching Caitlin Clark and got intrigued by her. And they became fans of her and her game. And now that she's in the WNBA, man, I tell you, she needs a Jeep endorsement, a commercial, because Jeep is an acronym that I've come up with of the way she has been treated and not welcomed into the WNBA. Jeep, the acronym is JEEP, and that stands for jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness. Jeep.
And they stopped it right there. But you know what? It's true. I mean, I don't see how anybody could argue with that. The women are petty. It's pathetic, and it's true. You know, so I don't know. This is year number 2, and it's starting out worse than her year number 1. I mean, because the preseason receipts are already in. You know, she's going to have almost 40 games or something like that on national TV. That pisses everybody off because she's going to have more games on TV than the people who won than Liberty who won the championship, and rightfully so. People want to see her. She's selling out all the arenas, and every away game gets sold out. They got to find new arenas for some of these ladies for her to play in. So they're kicking and screaming and complaining, and their jealousy bemoans the fact that they're all making more money. They're all taking charter flights as opposed to flying commercial. I remember seeing Bill Lambert in the airport with his team years and years ago, seeing all these chicks walk up, and they're sitting in the same seats that I'm sitting in. And I said hi to Bill and hello to the ladies and stuff. And they're flying in steerage just like me. So they've come a long way, and they're looking to try to blow it. That's what I'm thinking. Even if they think it's inadvertent, it seems like they're doing everything to undermine what's going on. Now, unfortunately for the WNBA, Juju got hurt, so she might spend some more time in college because they need some more people come out who have a little bit of pizzazz. So she has some pizzazz. She's not like Angel Reese. She could actually play basketball with some skill. Angel is kind of clumsy on the court, if you ask me. And then what's the chick that just came out? Who's coming out? Bucher, whatever her name is. I forgot her first name. So she is white, but she's coming. I think she's coming out next year. Well, this year, this is her last year in college, so she'll be in the draft, and she's probably going to go pretty high. And she has some pizzazz about her. So they need more ladies who people can get endeared with to come into the WNBA, as opposed to all these cackling hens that they have in there. So, hopefully, Caitlin can have some company. Just some company. Even a chick the tall one, I can't remember her name. She got hurt last year. She came out and she's going to be back. So there's a few other ladies, and maybe I'll get a little bit better at remembering all of their names, because last year was the first year in the history of the WNBA that I actually watched more than one or two games. And I thought their All-Star game was absolutely fantastic, because especially in the backdrop of the NBA just shitting the bed on their All-Star game. The All-Stars against the Olympic team was a fantastic game. Matter of fact, it's worth a rewatch if you didn't see it. So with that, that's all I have to say. So how are you doing? Katelia, how you doing? I hope you're having a great day out there. And, like I said, every so often I have to do a short, do a live, and do a video so I could just start to put more content on my page. Anyway, of course, just as I always do, I just kind of threw in to my music generator just a theme, jealousy and envy, a dark brew, and it printed me out a song. It's not the best. I probably could do some more iterations, but it's good enough to end this particular live with. And so I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna just end the stream. Yeah. So here goes, and enjoy. Let me do this. Yeah, you daggone right. They're jealous. So let me go ahead and play it. I'm like a kid with a candy store with this daggone music
in the
generator.
shadows where the whispers glow, a bitter taste from the seeds we sow. Eyes aflame with the green-eyed fire. It's a game of hearts, a dance on the wire. Dark blue boils beneath the skin, tangled thoughts that make us spin. Jealous hearts wear a thorny crown. In the dark room where dreams collide, we find ourselves on this twisted ride. Live a life. Every glance feels like a hidden knife. In this maze of envy, we lose our life, chasing shadows that won't set us free, drowning in the waves of what we can't see. A cool mirror reflects our despair. We're lost in the fight, gasping for air. Envy's a chain, it drags us down. Jealous hearts wear a thorny crown. In the dark room where dreams collide, we find ourselves on this twisted ride. In envy's grip we fade away, a dark pool where hope can't stay.
Me. After that, I say good night. Take it easy. I'll see you later.